Lyle Donoho, Lafayette, Tennessee, 61 years old. 1973 was a Nash, one of those clear blue, loose ball bearings, one little kicktail thing. That was it. One of the Virginia Beach ramps, Lynn Haven or Trashmore, pretty good ramps at the time. When I started back skating in like 2005, I slammed on a backside air at my ramp and teeth went through my lip and broke my wrist. It is an alien workshop that Mike Hill sent me. Well, Ray Underhill, of course, has to be a frontside Smith grind. The one me and you and Ray and Britt went to Tacona. That was a good trip. Getting back from this awesome place that Paul's built.
Bob Pribble, 57 years old, originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. Probably back in the mid-70s. Well, I had a steel wheel board in 3rd grade that was a Nash, but then I got a plastic board with urethane wheels like in 75 or 76. Don't remember what the name of it was. Oh, but my favorite one was a Makaha. It was called The Force, and it was black. Nice. And that was the board that really got me super hooked. Best spot? Wow. I don't know, probably some ditch we found like in the early 80s, you know. I don't know which one, but, you know, just really excited to actually like find concrete, you know, somewhere in the Midwest, because all we had were like wooden ramps. So when you feel your wheels touching concrete, you know, you're feeling like you're doing the real thing. I remember once like slamming in Delmar's keyhole in like 1984 and hitting my elbow and going into shock and like kind of like passing out like thing, and then being carried out of like the keyhole by Neil Blender like a little baby, and that freaked me out. I'm riding a Jimmy Wilkins real pro model. It's 8.8 inches wide with a 15-inch wheelbase, which is like perfect for skating vert ramps. I don't know, I'm gonna stick with like Jimmy Wilkins, man. Like, you know, just a beautiful fucking skater. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything look that good on a skateboard. Vert, frontside boneless. You know, honestly, it was probably recently. It was like back in like summer 2016. Darren Navarrete put together this Generations tour, and so there was like somebody from like every age generation. And I was in my 50s, Navs was in the 40s, can't remember who was in the 30s, but like Jimmy Wilkins was in the 20s, and we went all through the Midwest because everybody that was on the tour was originally from the Midwest, and it was super fun. Maybe Houston, like I wasn't psyched, but then everybody here in Tennessee is super psyched on it, so maybe I go to Tennessee.
Donnie Myher, I'm from Gainesville, Florida, but I live in Franklin, Tennessee, and I'm 57 years old. Got my first board in 1975. Very first board was a Bigfoot. First big board was a, it was an Alva splashboard. I always liked Fallbrook ramp in California for a half pipe, and then, I grew up skating Sensation Basin, so that was my, but there's so many, you know. I had a compound fracture in my femur, through my pants, knee was in my crotch, my elbow was going the wrong way, pushing up on the skin, and that was the worst one. 875 Polar with Indy 169s and Spitfire Formula 4s. Chris Miller. I skate street and I skate mini ramps now. I'm going to skate this thing here, and I haven't dropped in 25 years, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, we have all these mini ramps in Franklin. Just whatever I'm learning at the time. I just learned, okay, I'm 57. I've learned probably 20 tricks in the last year and a half, and I just learned switch front Smiths. So many with all the old Zorlak guys. Recent ones with all my friends from Tennessee. You know, there's so many. I wouldn't say there's one favorite. Hopefully out to the Florida, to the Skateboard Hall of Fame to hang out with Monty Noller, Paul Schmidt, and all those guys.
Wachter, Florence, Alabama, 63 years old, 1975. My dad made my first boards for a year, and then Sim Spratterglass. I'm going to say Getaway. I broke my tailbone. Skater built with Indies and conspiracy alien shot wheels. Bruce Wachter. Ball and vert. I really don't have a favorite trick. Probably the one to Gainesville, Florida, when Hunter Jocelyn sicked the crowd on the guy at Sensation Basin that stole the boards, and they beat his car to death. And they were going to kill him, and Hunter finally had to call the crowd off. It was really wild. I don't know yet. I haven't got there yet.
Paul Gierow from Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm 59. I skated in, 1976 or 5. My first board was some GC Murphy. It was a wooden board with clay wheels that my dad took me down to get when I was a kid. I think I was 6. Well, the getaway skate park, obviously. Let's not talk about that. Well, I'm a bandwagon bandit, so I'm on a bandwagon board with Bones wheels and Indies, obviously. Everybody here, everybody just in my contest is my favorite skate. Vert, my favorite trick that I can make is a layback air. It's not the best trick in the world, but God gave me a layback air, and that's all I got. Recently, Party at the Ponds. Probably the Houston Vert Ramp series.
My name's Tyson Brown from Outer Banks, North Carolina. I'm 13. Around I was 3, tagging around the garage. Penny board, I guess. Houston Vert Ramp. I was in Maryland and I busted my chin open. I didn't get stitches though, I just threw a band-aid on it. I got emission skateboards, toxic wheels, quantum bearings, and globe shoes, Collin or probably just a judo air. Probably Houston. Houston.
Collin from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I'm 25 years old. I started skateboarding pretty much as soon as I could stand. My dad had me on a board around. I think I still have it. Or as far as I know, the first board I ever had was a Gierow board, one of the minis. I still have it on my wall. One of my favorites growing up had to be Kona skate park. Since I kind of started doing bigger level competitions, so it's always a fun trip down to Florida to skate Kona. Well, I've been knocked out way too many times, so those are all pretty bad. I think probably hanging up at the combi bowl and breaking my wrist. I had to get surgery. First time I broke a bone. Embassy skateboards, Ace trucks, speed lab wheels, reds, bearings, mocker tape. Growing up was always Bob Bronquist, Mike Frazier, Bucky, or El Gagnon. Going to Australia was a trip. It's pretty amazing out there. I'm going to Argentina at the end of October for a vert contest out there.
Nice. Tyler Ledbetter, 57 years old, currently living in Huntsville, Alabama. 1974. GNS Fiberflex Getaway in Huntsville, Alabama. Shattered this wrist in 2010. Got a T-shaped titanium plate holding it all together, but works just fine. An old school underground sponsorship board, Indy 159s and old Schmidt stick SS radials. Dwayne Peters. Vert. Front side rock. Probably Daytona, Stone Edge, 1987. Don't have one planned. Do you have any suggestions?
I'm Jarrell Vinson. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm 47 years old. 1985. Nash dog cheese. Onion, broken arm, and pins. The Siamese twins with the Indies 169s. Bucky Lassie. Hurt. A mixed a no-hand mixed Daytona. Don't know yet.
Kenny Kirby from Huntsville, Alabama, 49 years old, when I was 11. Jeff Phillips. Best spot, wow. There's so many now. I don't like to talk about slams. There's a bandwagon Indy 159s and Speed Lab wheels. Currently, all time, that's a tough
Either one.
I'm a fan of skateboarding. Because of what I do, I like vert. Body jar. Wow. Pass. A lot of them. Wow, that hadn't been discussed. I don't know. What's coming up?
Mark Pfeiffer, I'm from Maryland, 50. 85, Lester Kasai. Maybe Arlington up in Virginia now, but I think there's a couple that good. Oh. I've killed my knee 1,000 times. I ride at 8.8, I ride I think 169s, I ride 58 millimeter Speed Labs, maybe Grand, both. Maybe a lean tail slide or something. Maybe Louisville. We had a great Louisville trip a few years back. Probably Getaway.
Dan Brown, some call me Booger. I'm 61, and I currently live in Delray Beach, Florida, originally from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. 1969, I got my first board. It was a sidewalk surfer. It was my brother's. I commandeered it since he didn't use it. Steel wheels, the whole deal. Cedar Crest is my favorite spot of all times. Yeah. I don't remember my slams. I'm riding those Speed Lab Cope 62s. I think they're SPFs. Indies, 159s, and I'm riding Lake Nightmare because I'm lake proud. Who do I enjoy watching skate the most these days? I love Reef, man.
Reef Orlando's ride.
Yeah. If you go back historically, I'd say my best buddy Doug Myher from Pennsylvania, he's on vert. Well, I love doing inverts, obviously. Frontside grinds. Overall, I miss backside boneless. I love doing backside boneless, frontside inverts. Favorite trick to see somebody else do? Collin will probably do it today, just a great big method error, man. That's all styled out at the peak. The most memorable is when I went to Atlanta Ramp Ranch in 1984, and I went there as Dan Brown, and I left there as Booger Brown. Thank you, Buck Smith. Possibly Houston Vert, but I'm not sure yet, and I might be spending some more time in California. I might be heading out there for the next year or so, depending on how things go.
My name is Eli. I'm 25 years old. I'm originally from Hamilton, Ohio, but I've been staying in San Diego for the past year. I started skating when I was 11, so I've been skating for like however many years that is. But yeah, so more than half my life I've been skateboarding now, which I think it was like a Walmart board. It was like a complete, I think it was like a World Industries or something. Well, this is quickly becoming one of my favorites. I mean, you got the perfect mini ramp, perfect vert ramp. One time I was doing a Madonna in a pool, and I hung up. I just went straight to the side of my face, knocked myself out. I woke up in the hospital. I had no idea what happened. Set up, I'm riding an Earth skateboard, Jeremy Green Speed Lab wheels. I got some independent trucks on there. I would definitely say my homie Jeremy Green is one of my favorite skaters. I like Brazilian skateboarding, like Pedro Barros and those guys. There's really good style. You know, Rune Bliffberg, Omar Hassan was one of my first favorite skateboarders. So both, but more vert. My favorite trick that I can do that it's hard is like a board varial 540. I like different 540 variations, stuff like that. There's been a lot of fun ones. I mean, I gotta say, this one's not over yet, but this is becoming a really fun skate trip, you know? Always like going out to California, Florida, you know what I mean? We used to do like the Kona, you know, bowl series, Florida Vert series, stuff like that. Pretty much anything that ends up in a backyard with all your friends, you know? Headed back to San Diego after this. We're gonna skate Elliott Sloan with the 187 team. We're just gonna all meet up there and film some tricks and stuff. So that'll be the next one next week.
AK-48, Baltimore, Maryland, 1980. It's a little yellow freeformer. Recent Nashua, New Hampshire park. Fractured 3 ribs and it wasn't a puncture, but I was out for a while. I got a Speed Lab, American Nomad collab board, 9.5 pull shape, Thief trucks, American Nomad Speed Lab collab wheels, and Superfly Speedball 6-ball bearings. I'll go with Dan for it because I've been a fan for a long time. Actually, I'm ditches. If I stay in the ditch, I'm gonna judo tail block. My most recent one with my wife, we did the Northeast. We Connecticut, Nomad Barbecue, went to Mass, Rhode Island, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, all the way down. 10 parks, well, 10 days of skating out of 11 days. Florida in November.
Peter Furnée, originally from Laconia, New Hampshire. Moved around the East Coast, and now I'm living in Indianapolis. 1983-84. My first board was a homemade board that my brother made me out of 9-ply Baltic birch with an Alfa Romeo logo painted on it because he was just learning paint. Bucky Lasix Bowl. Worst slam was Eggplant Fakie at Rich Ponds, 2016. Did the old fib tib, dislocated ankle. Cockfight, old Allen midget shape, it's kind of my shape now. 16-inch wheelbase, Ace, OG 55s, magnesium base plates. And best wheels on earth, not only because he's sitting there, but I ride the Speed Lab juggernauts, the 99As. Trust him everywhere. Spending a couple of years getting to know him is going to be Mr. Grosso. Always heard. Really, favorite trick is probably pivot rock. Trip I've been on? Vertitac. Any one of the Vertitacs. Going down to the Banger in the Hangar 3, HBR.
I'm Brennan Gagnon. I'm 26 from St. Augustine, Florida. When I was like really young, probably like 6 or 7, I didn't do vert until way later, but yeah, 6 or 7 street skating. Oh, it was a Christmas complete. It was a Tony Hawk birdhouse, like the skeleton. Yeah, skeleton's like Hawk skull thing. Yeah. Like, I have a backyard ramp, so that's probably the easy answer. Other than that, I don't know, Laurel Vert Ramp in Richmond, Virginia before they tore it down. That was an OG spot. So I was learning inverts and I didn't push it up enough and I hung up on it and I cracked my humerus. It was right after I built my ramp. And it's called Theory Skateboards. It looks like a Jeff Phillips BBC kind of. 9.5, 14.5 wheelbase. I got Indies, I ride a 1/4-inch risers, 97A Spitfire, Comic Full, and Swiss bearings. Lance Mountain is my favorite. I can't, I feel like that's such a loaded, but if I had to be on the spot, I love Lance. Love. Everything. All of it. I would say backside air. Grosso's backside air episode changed it for me. If you can't have a good backside air, you may as well pack up and go home. Probably with some friends to Atlanta. There were a lot of fun parks. I met this guy Ravo. He's rad, and he skates pools in Maryland. And I got his number. He's like, "Come on up. I'll show you some backyard pools we cleared out." So.